Dark Crisis Young Justice issue 1, Megan Fitzmartin writing with Laura Braga on the art. This is the miniseries that's tying into Dark Crisis, and is, you know, as a Young Justice story. Cassie's the narrator and the lead character, and it's about her trying to find Connor, Tim, and Bart, who go missing kind of suddenly early in this story, and they all end up in an alternate world or possibly the past. They're not quite sure. We'll get into that as we talk about it. But I will say this: the first page of this almost made me not read it, because I opened the first page and the amount of narration boxes on that first page is ridiculous. I'm going to count on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 text boxes on one page is too much.
There's a lot.
It's too much. But yes, so it sort of shows you them at the Justice League funeral, and then Cassie talks about all the shit that their generations had to go through with Infinite Crisis and Connor dying, Bart dying.
It was a very nice summation of an era of comics that I came into reading.
Yeah.
And so they really do feel like this last generation, and you know, having Cassie set this up, I think was a really nice meta commentary.
They also have Sissy.
Who was Arrowette.
Arrowette, yeah. I will admit, obviously it sounds different to say because it's Sissy and not Cassie, right. But on the page they look very similar to read.
Right. I almost wish they'd given, you know, call her Wonder Girl on those pages with Sissy.
Yeah.
Or call her Sis or something. Give her a different, but yeah. Or by her last name.
Honestly, the amount of times in my head I accidentally said Kissy and not Sissy because I kept reading Cassie, so my brain was just like hard C. But yeah, so I did think the setup of this is I enjoyed the kind of the recap of their generation stuff, but I did think the inciting moment was kind of weird, where the three characters just disappear in the room and no one else in the room except Cassie seems to notice or care that the three characters just vanished. And maybe that's kind of part of the point, is the idea that those characters did vanish from continuity to some extent. I mean, Tim not as much, although he got diminished, certainly.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting. And there's this weird thing where Cassie kind of says that maybe it would have been better if everyone who dies stayed dead. And then she blames herself. That is this my fault? It's kind of like Home Alone. Is this my fault because I wished I had no family?
I made my family disappear.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
But so we see where they are though. So Tim wakes up. Alfred's there, so he's confused. He thinks he's went back in time. It turns out that all three of them went to the same place. You know, they're all in the same world. So they meet up. Connor gets his old Superman shirt on and his jacket from the early 90s. It implies it's just after Death of Superman, based on what's on the computer screen. And like, well, let's go and be Young Justice. So they suit up and go out, and they've got their old costumes on. And meanwhile, Cassie's talking to Sissy, trying to figure out, okay, they're not in the Hall of Justice, they've completely disappeared. And then clearly some time passes because she ends up like going to talk to others, Jesse and Max, for example. And like, she goes to Dick to say, hey, have you seen Tim? She goes to John, have you seen Connor? I will say this, the art here, and Braga's art's not bad, but I will say the extra lines she's added to John's Superman costume, I'm not a fan of. There's like these, all these like stripes in the blue part, which I'm like, what?
It's too reminiscent of the Superman New 52 costume.
Yeah.
I don't like it. So,
it's also inconsistent. See if you look at that panel where she's talking to John top of the Daily Planet building. The small, so there's like he's there twice on that panel where he's like flying and floating in the background in one, and then he's like got like a sort of mid shot of like his chest upwards. The costume doesn't match on the panel. Like, if you look at the flying version, the collar's blue and the red from the S stops before it goes to the collar. But then when you do the close up, the red goes all the way up and the collar's red. So even in the same panel, the two versions of them aren't consistent. So but hey, so she's feeling and the backstory, the trio of Young Justice are fighting what's her name?
The Mighty Endowed.
Yeah, she's got big tits. That's
So
a joke.
It's been a very long time since I've read Young Justice, and I might want to give it a revisit now. Because I was like, there's no way this character was the first one. Sure enough, Young Justice #1 from September 98. They fight the Mighty Endowed, but there it's done in a way where you never see her fully. It's only from like the neck up, or it's always heavily implied. So here there's always something that's covering up her bust line, or which I was like, this is so stupid. But then the way I kept reading, I was like, all right, this is kind of 90s fun. Like,
honestly, this was kind of weird. I'm like, really, you wanted to bring this character back?
Yep.
And I guess it's part of the joke. And it is worth mentioning, like, both the writer and artist are both women on this book.
Yep.
So clearly, this isn't just like a dude who's like, oh, I'm going to bring this character back with the big boobies.
Well, and so when you get into the origin of in the Mighty Endowed, she was a professor named Nina Dowd, who comes across some fourth world energy, and it transforms her into this. But she's so top heavy, she can't walk on her own without assistance. So again, it was almost like a commentary on comics of the time.
Yeah,
that just had these disproportionate women. And so as I'm reading this, that's where I was like, she better have some history with Young Justice. And
yeah,
sure enough, she was the first. So this is definitely going back to their first appearance.
So this is
three boys.
This is Peter David's Young Justice you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the cliffhanger at the end of the issue is in this past or alternate reality, whatever it may be. Because we're still not sure by the end of the issue, to be honest. Like, because they think it's the past, but they're not. There's wiggle room here, especially since it's a Dark Crisis tie-in, and the other Dark Crisis tie-in, The Flash, is dealing with like alternate like realities. It's a very good chance that that's more like what this is. But basically, another Wonder Girl shows up in their part of the story. The very different outfit, and it is a young Cassie, and it says next time a tale of two Cassies. So this might shed some light on exactly what's going on here. So it is interesting. I hate that outfit she has at the end, by the way. I'm not fond of that.
That is her very 90s, where she wore the wig still. Yeah, no. I feel like once they formed Young Justice, the New Teen Titans. So she got her real good costume.
Don't call it the New Teen Titans. The New Teen Titans is an actual name of something from before.
The John's Teen Titans.
Yes.
That was a combination of Young Justice and the New Teen Titans.
Yes.
But yeah, this was very, like, the more I read this, so I got it, like, I want to see Connor. I'm going to put it out there, I'm not a big fan of the resuscitated 90s look. I hate the high fade and the leather jacket, but I also like the jeans and t-shirt Superboy look, which I know Pete's not a fan of.
I mean, you see it for a second when he's lying there dead.
Yeah. So, so to see that and to see them go back to the 90s, and that it seems like they're having a little bit of fun with that era in Dark Crisis, and how these kids fit in to the overall, because they are this lost generation now. Like, we talked about it a little bit when, with Dick and Wally, when they weren't really being showcased back before Rebirth. And now it feels like it's these characters that are, but with that, there's also comic creators around our generation that are fans of these guys. So, like, I feel like this creative team, we're fans of this, and so they're getting to pay homage to Young Justice in of itself. And hopefully this leaves them with a spot in the DCU still, because DCU is all about legacy. And there's, more than enough for, Impulse and, as we're calling him, Ace, and John and Connor, and Yara and Cassie, Tim. I did like what they said about Tim being Robin, is like, he's the one that chose to be Robin, right? Like, Dick was, the first. Jason was bequeathed on him, but Tim went out of his way to become Robin. And now I like that the writer puts in there, he has no choice but to keep being Robin. So I did like that. It really showed why Tim is different than the rest of them. So, but yeah, no, this was a whole lot of fun. More fun than I expected. That's for sure.
No, it was not bad. I was a little worried at the start. Like I saw that first page and was like, oh, I don't know if I want to read this. But I don't think it doesn't feel essential. It does feel very skippable. If you just want to read Dark Crisis, and to be fair, same with the Flash arc. But we're reading that because we're reading the Flash anyway. Right. This feels like it's, if you like Young Justice and you want a book focusing on them for the nostalgia's sake and for just because you care about them, that you might get something out of it. It's not amazing, like it's not blowing my socks off. But it was decent enough as a read once it got going. So, you know, but yeah, but you know, it's a little overstuffed with words at some points, and the art from Braga, who is generally decent but not amazing, and it does have, you know, the odd moment of like a weird face or, like I say, that inconsistency in the Superman outfit. But yeah, so what are you rating Dark Crisis Young Justice issue 1?
I'm giving this one a 7.
I think I'll go 6.5. I'll go a nudge lower. Readable, but you know, not blow away greater end.